Hey guys! So recently I finished my third semester of college, which means that I am now 1.5 years through, and because I'm on winter break right now, I have had the chance in the past couple of days to think about how I got here from where I was like not too long ago. And I thought it would be a good idea to make a video where I talk about my college experience so far because I have a lot of viewers who are younger than I am, so you guys may be in high school right now or maybe going into high school, and there's going to come a time where you have to start thinking about college. And when I had to do that, I felt like I was kind of in the dark, like I didn't have a lot of people telling me their experiences so that I could know what it was like. So I really wanted to just sit down today and casually talk about college and what I've been through so far, just to give you guys a little bit of an idea when you have to go through it. So I hope that this video helps you guys out a little bit and gives you some insight into what college is really like. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about is my later high school experiences and how those experiences kind of shaped my decisions to go to college. When I was in 11th grade, I took AP classes, and I didn't really take those AP classes because I necessarily wanted to. I did it because my teachers recommended that I do it. And I think that when that happened, that was just like a recipe for disaster because it wasn't really what I wanted. I was just listening to other people who maybe didn't know me that well. And so 11th grade was my hardest year in high school because these classes took up so much of my time, like with all of the homework and everything. I had so much homework every night. I would come home and I would work until I went to bed, just reading and studying and writing papers. It was ridiculous, and I felt like I could never escape any of it. And even on the weekends, I didn't go places that were fun. I just didn't have any fun because I felt like I didn't have enough time to get all my work done. And I would go as far as to say that I was like borderline depressed because I just felt like the life that I had was gone and my whole life just was focused on my schoolwork. And I probably should have learned to just let go a little bit, but I couldn't, and I don't know what it was. I wanted to get all A's, but I felt like in order to do that, I had to put every ounce of willpower that I had into it. So that was a really hard year for me, and I almost felt like I wasn't going to make it through the year. But eventually that year ended, and I got my A's, and I worked my butt off. But the only thing was that I didn't know if I wanted to go to college. And I think the reason was because I thought that college might be exactly like my 11th grade year, and I was scared. It scared me so much because I was at a really low point in 11th grade, and I never want to go back to that. I never want to experience that again because I was almost scared for myself. Like, I felt like I was depressed, and that was the worst. I really took the summer to just take a mental break and not think about school, and it really helped me out to the point where when I went back to school in September for my senior year, I was just a lot more excited about my future, and I did want to go to college. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Now that all that stuff's out of the way, I just wanted to touch on my high school experiences because I thought that maybe some of those things that I went through are what you guys are going through right now, and I wanted you to know that you're not alone in this whole college process thing. So yeah, now I'm going to get into the reason why you guys are probably here, and that is to know about my college experiences. So I'm just going to take it semester by semester, tell you what I liked about each semester, what I went through, what I didn't like, and yeah, we're gonna have fun. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first semester in college was good. I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, for my first couple of months being in college, they went pretty well. They went fast, but they were good. I never really felt overwhelmed. I mean, I was taking 6 classes and I had 17 credits. So one of my classes was only worth 1 credit because I only had it 1 time a week. But yeah, some classes were harder than others. my psychology class gave me a little bit of trouble because it was a lot of reading and the chapters were like 50 pages, and I'm not really fond of reading. I daydream a lot and I just forget what I read. So I really had to focus on those chapters because the tests were like 50 questions, multiple choice, and the chapters had words that I had never even heard of. I can't even pronounce them. So I had to try really hard for my A in that class, but I got it and I was proud of myself. But as far as the tests go in college, they're not much different from ones in high school. You just have to make sure that if your teacher gives you a study guide or if you have to read the chapters that you're doing that, because those are largely what the tests are based off of. I haven't had a teacher yet in college that have just left me in the dark on what to expect on tests. Usually they're pretty good about telling you what you should study, what you should focus on the most. And I know that every college is going to be different, but the college that I go to, the teachers are really good about doing that. And I think the only time that I really started to feel overwhelmed in my classes the first semester was when I was starting to have my first tests, because I knew what tests in college or in high school were like, but I didn't know what tests in college were like. So that was a little bit intimidating to me, but like I said, they're not really much different. So my first semester, there's not really much to say about it, but it was good. My second semester in college was unfortunately not as great as the first. In my first semester, I took classes that were like core classes that everybody has to take regardless of what your major is. And then in my second semester, I had like 4 education classes, the classes that were for my major. And I was sitting in them on the first day, and the teacher was going over like the tests that we were going to have and the assignments and the projects and everything, and just the subject matter, what we were going to be learning. I was like, is this really what I want to be learning about? I just wasn't sure. I started to have like all these reservations, and I thought that maybe the reason why I was so overwhelmed all of a sudden was because I had just had a month off for Christmas, and then I had to go back to school in the middle of January after having all that time off. So I just kind of put those thoughts aside and I stuck with it. And then a couple weeks later, I started to get so overwhelmed again. I had so much work. Every week I had a project due. It was ridiculous. The tests were like so difficult. As much as I studied, I felt like I did well on them, but it took like all my brain power just to be able to get A's on them. It was ridiculous. But I started to feel like I did in 11th grade again, where I was coming home from school and working until I went to bed, and it was like that every single day, just doing these projects and these study guides and stuff like that. But I couldn't like get out of the class, even though it was only a couple weeks in, because the drop add period had already passed. Usually in college, the drop add period is the first week so that you can add classes to your schedule or take classes away. So I kind of wish I would have done something right away, because then I could have dropped my education classes and just stuck with general classes, because I started to think that maybe being a teacher wasn't for me, and I hated having that thought because I thought I was finally like set in place with what I was going to be doing in my future, and I really wasn't. But I'm going to tell you that when you feel like something isn't right for you, go ahead and just act on it right away. Don't wait like I did, because it was so much harder getting through the semester, knowing that I didn't want to be a teacher anymore, just having to do all those assignments that were teacher related. I barely got through it. I was so stressed out. I came home and like cried every day. I was like, why do I have to do these things? I'm not interested in it. So if you feel like something's not right for you, just trust yourself, go with your gut, and just take classes that everyone has to take until you can decide what you really want to do. And that will come to you. You just have to give it time. So I made it through the end of the semester. Once again, I felt like I had conquered the world because I didn't think I was going to make it through it all. And I decided to change my major for my third semester. So one of the things that really officially made me change my mind about being a teacher was that as an education major at my college, you have to do this thing called field experience. And every Thursday morning for about 4 hours, I had to go to a preschool and I had to watch this teacher. I had to watch whatever she did and just write down notes and write a paper on it every week. And this teacher, just to discipline these kids, like, they were screaming, she had to raise her voice. She had a hard job. But I just started thinking, like, I could never do that. You guys are gonna think I'm so stupid because obviously part of being a teacher is being able to discipline kids. But I thought that through my education I could learn how to do that stuff, like learn how to be like this good discipliner, but then I thought that's not really who I am. I don't like to raise my voice. I don't like to have to yell at kids when they're doing something wrong. It's just not who I am, and I thought that what's the point in trying to change who I am when I could just do something that fits me better, and I could do something that I already have the skills for. So that is what I decided to do, and I switched my major from education to sport and entertainment management, and that is currently what I am doing. So my third semester, this one that just passed, being that I had a new major, it was probably my most enjoyable one yet. I never really felt overwhelmed throughout this semester. I mean, there were weeks where I had like projects due at the same time for my classes and where tests fell in the same week and I had to study a lot, but it was never to the point where I felt like I never had time to do the things that made me happy. I didn't feel like I felt in 11th grade. I didn't feel like I felt the semester before, so it was a nice change. This semester I took 2 math classes, and I'm weird, I really like math. It just comes easy to me, so it's one of my favorite subjects, and so that was really fun for me at times. And I also had a sport and entertainment management class, which it was fun to kind of learn about those two industries and what kind of jobs you can have in them, so it made me start to think about what I might want to do in the future, because sport and entertainment management is a pretty broad major in that when you get out of college you can do a lot of different things, whereas with teaching you have to be a teacher. That's really it. But yeah, I liked the fact that my new major I had a choice of what I wanted to do, because doing one thing for the rest of my life really scares me. But I was the only girl in my sport and entertainment management class. It was like an intro class. So there were a lot of freshmen in it, even though I'm a sophomore, but I changed my major. So I had to take the intro class before I took other classes in the major, but that was interesting. I'm definitely not used to being the only girl in a class, so it was a little bit intimidating at times, especially when I had to do presentations and stuff. But it wasn't too bad, and I'm used to it now, so if it ever happens in a class in that major in the future, I should be prepared for it, so I'm happy. So I guess the moral of my college experience is just that if you're not happy being in your major, don't be afraid to change it. I know that it can be a little bit scary thinking about changing your major because essentially you're reevaluating your outlook on life. But changing your major, it happens to the best of us, and most people throughout their college years change their major, so you're definitely not alone. So guys, that is going to be it for my college experience video. If you were a little bit curious about what college is really like, then I hope that this video helped you realize that it's not all that scary of a place. Throughout my 1.5 years of college so far, it's been a pretty positive experience, so that's good. If you guys have any questions regarding anything about college or anything related to that, don't be afraid to send me a comment down below and I will be sure to reply to it. But that is going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.